This is a story of movement. It is a story of a decade from 2015 to 2025 that reshaped the continent of Europe. During this time, millions left their homes across the world. They journeyed toward a new life. Their reasons were many and profound. They fled the horrors of war. They fled the grip of poverty. They sought escape from political persecution. They were driven by the slow, relentless pressures of a changing climate. This is the story of their journey, and of Europe's response. It is best told not with emotion, but with clear, steady facts. We begin with a map. A map shows the world not as separate countries, but as a network of paths. From 2015 onward, these paths traced trajectories of human hope and of desperation. They stretched across continents and seas. These routes were not static. They shifted and changed, responding to new barriers and new opportunities. Understanding these flows is the first step to understanding the decade. Migration is, first and foremost, a story of geography. The year 2015 is the anchor point for this story. In that year, the movement of people into Europe reached a scale not seen in decades. The term refugee crisis became a headline around the world. The primary driver was conflict. The devastating civil war in Syria had displaced millions. Instability in Afghanistan, instability in Iraq, people from Africa, people from Asia. The sheer volume of arrivals overwhelmed existing systems. It presented European nations with an unprecedented humanitarian and logistical challenge. The Mediterranean Sea became the main stage for this human drama. Eastern Mediterranean route, Turkey to Greek islands. Central Mediterranean route, Libya to Italy. Small, unseaworthy boats. Boats supplied by smugglers. These voyages were incredibly dangerous. Thousands lost their lives at sea. Crowded inflatable dinghies. Exhausted survivors. Life jackets washed ashore. Upon arrival, the journey was far from over. Greece, Italy, Hungary, register, house, care for the arrivals. Many continued northward on foot, by bus, by train. After the peak of 2015 and 2016, the landscape of migration began to change. The routes people took were not fixed. They were fluid, adapting to political and physical barriers. A key development was the EU-Turkey statement in March 2016. It aimed to stop irregular migration across the Aegean Sea. In exchange for financial aid and other concessions, Turkey agreed to increase its border controls and take back migrants who arrived in Greece. Arrivals on the Greek islands dropped sharply. The Eastern Mediterranean route was effectively closed for many. As one path narrowed, others widened. The closure of the Balkan land route and the Eastern Mediterranean crossing redirected pressure elsewhere. Smuggling networks adapted. The Central Mediterranean route from Libya and Tunisia to Italy grew more prominent. This route was longer and deadlier. Libyan instability created a lawless environment for smugglers. European nations responded, particularly Italy. Italy supported efforts to strengthen the Libyan Coast Guard. Boats were intercepted and people were returned to North Africa. Human rights groups heavily criticized these returns. Across Europe, political reaction was fractured and intense. Nationalist and populist parties gained ground. They pushed for stricter border controls, reduced immigration, and a defense of national identity. In early 2020, a new global force emerged that would profoundly alter the patterns of human movement: the COVID-19 pandemic. As the virus spread, nations around the world, including all of Europe, implemented unprecedented restrictions. Borders were closed, flights were grounded, entire countries went into lockdown. For a time, global mobility came to a near standstill. This had an immediate and visible effect on migration flows. The number of irregular border crossings and asylum applications in the EU dropped significantly during the initial months of the pandemic, as travel became almost impossible. However, the pandemic did not eliminate the root causes of migration. In many regions, the economic fallout from the pandemic actually worsened conditions, adding a new layer of desperation for many. As the initial shock of the lockdown subsided, migration movements began to resume, but under even more difficult circumstances. Smuggling networks continued to operate, often taking greater risks. For those on the move, the pandemic added new dangers, including the risk of infection in crowded camps and the difficulty of accessing healthcare or other essential services. The pandemic also had a significant impact on asylum and reception systems within Europe. Processing of asylum claims slowed down or was halted in many countries due to public health measures. As the initial crisis phase passed, the long-term question of integration came to the forefront. Millions of people who had arrived since 2015 were now building new lives across the continent. Integration is a complex, multifaceted process. As we stand in late 2025, the picture of migration in Europe is one of a new, complex normality.